I would say this is going to be the toughest, the hardest, the most exhausting fun. You will hit your pillow at the end of the night and you will fall to sleep faster than you ever fall asleep.
All right, well, here we are again, another day, another dollar NQT studio. Chris has his readers on.
Where are these dollars you're
He is ready. Well, speaking of dollars, it's dollars I made today. Sorry you didn't. Would you like to share about your new glasses?
There's not much to say about them. They make me look a little bit old. I think grandpa is what the term that you use.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I'm wearing my readers today because I just want to make sure that I can read when I need to.
When someone says they're bringing in their readers, do you think they're trying to downplay? It's not glasses. They're readers.
I don't think they have a prayer there.
I don't think
it's
so.
Just, it's old and not wanted no matter what.
We're almost a year into the podcast. Chris has learned to take his shoes off before we record every time and now put on his readers.
Readers on, shoes off.
We have had a tough year here.
Got to be prepared.
Very eventful year. We are aging quickly. Well, some of us are. So how's your day been today?
Day's been just fine. Yeah. Just fine.
Just fine.
Just fine. I'm not too up, not too down.
You have a story? I feel like you have a story with that, the way you're looking at me like that.
Not really. It's just doing my thing.
It's just whatever. Middle of the week.
Well, digital marketing.
Wednesday.
Mid-week digital marketing.
Today's a Wednesday.
Yes.
So historically known as Hump Day.
Yes.
Or I guess the timing of the week. Also for a Sports Center commercial. Very popular.
What do you
Wednesday.
remember from that?
What do
How
you
would you
remember
describe
that? I remember Mike.
Hump Day.
Yes. Do you remember? You don't remember this?
I think you need to hit that.
Our guest remembers this.
Yeah.
I can't believe you don't remember
It was a
this.
camel.
It was a camel. You don't like that commercial?
It was
You don't
fine.
like-
It was fine.
Oh.
It was kind of midweek.
So today was fine. The commercial. You're in a bad mood.
I'm not in a bad mood.
You're in a blah mood.
I just don't want to take center stage here because we have somebody here in
Good segue.
studio
Oh, we do.
that I just want to make sure people get to know.
We do have a guest today.
We do.
Ladies and gentlemen, how would you introduce our guest, Chris?
Okay.
Christopher Howard Christian.
Well, Mike, let me ask you a question right back.
Oh, here we go. Wow.
Okay. Do you have classifications of friends, people that you kind of know, people that are acquaintances, people that are really good friends that you've known for a while? Do you have those things?
Do I have friends?
Do you have Well, you do have friends, number one. And then do you have categories?
There's a couple out there.
Okay.
Let's say, I'd say real friends and acquaintances. Yeah, that's probably the right. And enemies.
Enemies.
Do you have
Okay.
enemies?
We can talk about that on another.
Do you not have any enemies?
None that I know of.
Okay. You're feeling strong today?
Feeling strong, my friend.
I am. I'm feeling quite strong.
Okay.
Strongly,
Okay.
quite strong.
Does this guest happen to fall into a classification on your side of things?
Let me answer that question for
Okay.
you because I
Sorry.
have another question for you.
Oh, dear.
Do you have refrigerator privilege friends?
Yes,
You do.
I do.
What does that mean to you?
I do. You think you almost hear laughing in the background, but that must be something on the sound
I
waves.
didn't hear a thing.
Those are the friends that obviously I want them to come in, feel at home. You know what? They don't even have to take off their shoes, but if they want to take off their shoes, they can take off their shoes. Go into the fridge, grab whatever they want, go into the pantry, fridge privileges, whatever.
I like
Flop
your
on the
description.
couch. Yeah.
I would
They-
say
you know what? If they want to eat a block of cheese from the fridge,
then they can.
block it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have one of those guys here today.
It's like you gotta turn that corner there.
One of those guys for me.
Who do we
that's
got?
been a good friend for, I think a quarter of a century now.
Wow. High classification.
Yeah. And so we'll get to who it is, but he is
after this break.
after this
No,
break.
we're
We're coming back. He is husband to Alita, father to the twins, Boston and Bennett, and to their younger son, Bowen. He's been a good friend for, like I said, 25 years that I've been doing life
Bowen
with.
has.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry.
Bowen's not 25.
My bad.
Let's
Sorry.
get there.
That's a bad joke.
Crickets. There we go.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I
all those
apologize.
crickets. But it's Adam McBride. everybody.
Adam McBride, everyone. Welcome into the
Great
studio.
to be here.
I got a clap.
Here he is. Here he is.
Yeah.
Great to
He
be here.
is
Yeah.
here.
Glad to have Adam here. I think we're going to have a fun time here because we have some questions for him to start off with.
Yeah, I wanted to jump into some of that other conversation because
Oh, please do.
So,
good stuff about the readers.
yeah, they're on right now.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think people downplay glasses by saying readers?
I think so. I mean, I've gotten to the point over, the last couple of years where, I mean, I have readers strategically placed throughout the house, so I don't have to go very far,
Just within the hand's reach.
And yeah,
Why reach? Why stand up for them
right.
when you can
Oh,
just
yeah.
grab them? Yeah.
And usually at some point in the week, they all find their way to the same place. And so I'm having to go and spread them back out
Just
around the house. So
The only reason I think that is because normally you're like, oh, you got your glasses. And everyone's always like, no, they're my readers. So I'm like, why would you correct me if you're not trying to put them in a classification of its own? I can't take you seriously when you're wearing.
I'm sorry. You have to wear these right.
And you're looking at me above the readers.
Yeah.
So
I know.
you're doing like the
It's not my
old
favorite
man,
look.
like correction.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me, Timmy. I got something to say. What's with all the B's for children's first names? First letter B. Just curious.
I
You like bees?
we like bees. I think when we first, first kid was coming around, or what we thought was going to be the first kid,
Mm-hmm.
we had a bee name already picked out. Bennett was kind of
Ah.
already established.
Okay.
And then once we found out it was going to be twins
Yep.
and boys,
Yep.
we just thought another bee name would just flow well.
Yeah.
And it took us a little while to really
Figure out
what that second bee name was going to be.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, we went through quite a few, and we landed on Boston. And when I first heard Boston, it was kind of one of those where I was like, oh gosh, no. Everybody's going to call the kid Boss, and it's just it's just, and then after a couple of weeks, it just Bennett Boston. It just started to kind of flow. And I was like, you know what? No.
Yeah.
Because, when you're naming a kid, you got, especially a boy, you got to kind of think of the how that name is going to derive into nicknames and things like that.
Oh yeah.
So, but we landed on it and love it, and it's it's a little more unique.
What's a nickname? So now years later, what kind of nicknames does Boston have?
I mean, it's mostly Boss.
Boss.
Yeah, it's Boss Man, Boss.
Boss man.
Yeah.
So one thing that you may not know, Mike, is that Adam does have a unique knack for generating nicknames.
Do you have a nickname of choosing?
For a while, I've been Cheese Stuff.
Cheese Stuff?
Cheese Stuff, yes.
Cheese Stuff.
Which, but I do like Cheese Stuff. That would apply. But yeah, so maybe sometime during this time you can get your own nickname generated.
That's my goal in life.
Yeah,
is to have.
You're not walking out of here without an Adam
I want one.
McBride generated
I'm
nickname.
gonna need to have one. It's funny you say that about Boston. Like when Joelle brought up Peyton's name to me, I could just think Peyton Manning, and she's a girl, and it was like, that's not a girl name. And it took me weeks, and then I started asking around, and everyone was like, that's a beautiful girl name. I was like, oh, is it? And then it eventually was like, oh, now she has to be Peyton. But at first, it was like, no.
Yeah,
that's
no,
clearly not.
It's the exact same thing because Bennett was kind of a unique, a little more unique, more of a you probably hear it more as a last name than you hear it as a first name. So we're kind of trying to find something that was in that same realm that wasn't super common, but not completely off off the wall. So
it's good.
Oh, he's got a great middle name, by the way. Bennett does. So
Bennett, yes, he does. Bennett Christian. So.
Yeah, I like it. That's
good.
really
BC.
good.
BC.
Yep.
BC.
What were you? So normally, Adam, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Normally, we will have some quick questions.
Yeah, some appetizers.
We roll it out as appetizers. We got appetizers. We got a main entree, and then we have something at the end that we can't tell you till we get there. That we will do. And Chris put his readers on, so he clearly wants to go through the appetizers.
The pressure is starting to build
Let's
a little.
Let's go. Oh, my bad. A little loud. Sorry, wrong button.
This is where we really get to grill you here a bit as we start.
All right.
So we'll start with something easy here. Have you ever been late for a wedding because you were playing Xbox?
Now, by the way, these are just out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I think hypothetical questions.
I ask
not
this to
at all.
everybody.
We ask everyone.
Yeah.
Clearly, have they
Didn't we
been late
ask
for a
Jack
wedding?
Carroll?
Everyone.
If he was late for a wedding? Okay.
So go ahead and answer the question.
Have I ever been late to a wedding? I think only once that I can recall, and I was
Because you were playing an Xbox.
I was playing Xbox with a buddy.
Follow-up question: who are you playing Xbox with?
He goes by Cheestov. He does not like to wear shoes.
Oh,
I don't remember. I think it was NHL
I think we were
So,
playing
like,
NHL. And,
04 maybe, or
how
I-
late
I was
were we
actually
to
gonna
the
ask.
wedding because of playing Xbox. Probably.
As we walked by the chapel and looked through the window, I believe the bridesmaids were walking down the aisle.
Word.
So, yeah.
And I think we resorted to going to the balcony.
So thin ice. We were
To be
skating on
as-
thin ice.
Oh, this was not your wedding.
No.
No. This was
Oh.
our wives, I believe, were in.
Oh, they were in
They
the.
were either part of it or
Oh.
somehow they were in it.
Neither one of y'all were getting
And we didn't
married.
have to go early.
Oh, plenty
So
of
the
time.
instructions were easy. Get there on time and
Plenty of time. The bride wasn't even walking down the aisle yet. I heard
No.
that. It sounds like y'all were early.
Yeah,
Good time.
they had shut
Yeah.
the door though.
Maybe.
So
not.
we had to. There was some finagling that had to be done.
NHL 04. Do you remember what teams you were playing?
I was probably the Avalanche. He was
yeah.
Probably Stars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid Colorado. Every
I know,
time.
stupid
This guy
Colorado.
works
It always
at
comes
AM,
back to
so
that.
Just
always comes
Take
back
the
to
team that won the first championship for Denver and
Oh wow, that's cool.
throw them
Yeah, no
under
one cares.
and stomp on them.
No
Thank
one
you, Mike.
cares.
All
Yeah,
right.
you're welcome.
Adam, speaking of hockey, have you ever played hockey on a broken leg?
I have played hockey on a broken
Wow.
leg. These are easy questions
Well,
because they.
you know, we're just
Again, they're
appetizers.
hypothetical. They happen to maybe to apply to you.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
Okay. Yeah. No. We were some late night pickup hockey.
Street hockey or real ice?
And on the
This is-
ice.
Oh,
Ice, Michael.
I
Ice.
understand that, but we're also
Yeah.
Texas, Chris,
No,
and I had to play street hockey. I couldn't play ice
that's
hockey.
not hockey. That's street hockey.
No.
I agree, but
Yeah.
ice hockey was not available for me when I was growing up. Thanks for that reminder.
Go Avs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you played on an
All right.
actual broken
Yeah,
leg.
we were on the. It was late at night. We were on the ice. I think it was just like an open play situation. So you had a variety of levels of playing. And
Yeah.
I think there was a guy who was maybe just learning to skate, and he just fell awkwardly on my leg and kind of into the boards. And
Oh,
I knew it was broken when I got up and had to had to skate off. I finished the shift.
He finished
and
his
skated
shift
off.
like on a broken leg.
going?
It wasn't long. But I
Okay.
got up and I may have just kind of
Wow.
acted as an obstacle.
Was the
Um,
leg like dangling to the side? Is
It
that how
wasn't
you
that
knew it was
bad.
broken?
Well, it was in my boot. So my boot actually kept it from displacing.
Okay.
So I mean, we can get into all that. The
that's-
details of that.
That's a lot of.
He comes to the bench and he says, "I may have broken my leg.
yeah. Hey guys.
Good job finishing your shift."
Yeah. I was on the line. I saw the line shift coming. I figured maybe it's time to sit on the bench.
Are you going to
That's
be in for the
impressive.
power kill or penalty kill or what? Yeah. What is one pickleball tip that you would give to America?
Random question again.
Yeah.
Pickleball tip to
Just
America.
assuming that you play pickleball
I've played
weekly.
a few times,
Several times. Yeah.
I do love to play. Oh gosh, that's a good question.
Doesn't have to be the top tip. It can be any tip to America.
Any tip?
What's going to get them over the hump?
To the entire country
Just
on this Wednesday.
get out there. Just get out there and play. The rules are weird.
They are weird. rules.
they're weird rules.
Weird terms. The kitchen.
Yeah,
Strange things like that. You're like, why is it a
You know,
kitchen?
You hear about the kitchen and an Ernie and
Yeah.
an ATP and all this, and it's just it's a little silly, but it for guys that are and gals that are getting a little bit older that don't want to cover a full tennis court.
Like they're wearing
wear
readers.
readers.
I knew
Yeah,
you were
or
gonna
they
say
wanna
that.
wear
I knew you were
readers.
gonna Say that.
You need to wear shoes.
Yeah.
Shoes are critical.
Can't be barefoot.
To
Gotta
pickleball.
Make some effort. Put those shoes on.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Get out
yeah.
there and play.
Get out there and play. Yeah,
It's a good tip.
learn the rules a little bit. Watch some YouTube videos, and then get out there and just
All right.
find a group, find an open play group somewhere because it exists, and just start learning how to hit the ball.
Yeah.
Hey,
Good
America,
call.
you're welcome.
Yeah,
there
you'll
you
naturally
go.
just fall into kind of your level of play, and you'll
Yeah.
find those players that you like to play with.
Yeah.
Do you
Readers
think, do you
or no
think I'll be
readers.
at a high level, Mike, or do you think I would have to start
Be somewhere in the medium.
somewhere in the medium?
Yeah, I think you'd be
Okay.
in the medium.
All right.
I don't think
You
low.
were a racquetball player, weren't you?
I did. I
So
played some
you played
racquetball.
back in the day. So
Yeah.
usually racquetball players, tennis players can, even good ping pong players
Yeah.
can adjust pretty quickly to pickleball.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Gives
Good
me
to know.
hope.
Thank
Yeah.
you, America.
Speaking about hope, how did you celebrate the Cubs winning the World Series? Because you are a longtime Cubs fan.
Yeah.
I'll just tell America that. And when they finally won,
Yeah,
how do you
that was a
cap
great
that
night.
moment off? What'd
That
you
was
do?
a
What'd
great
you do?
night.
That
It
was
was a
amazing when
little
it won.
tough because there was a little bit of a rain delay, I think, and then it went into extra innings. And so the game didn't get over with until really late that night. And so the boys had all kind of fallen asleep at that point. and I was on the phone with my longtime buddy back from Louisiana, who's a huge Cubs fan, and we kind of watched that last inning on the phone together. And I mean, it was just like
That was amazing.
it was funny. It was more of a relief than it was of like just going crazy kind of.
Yeah.
And I went and got my big W flag and hung it in the front window. For the next week and all that. So it was great. It was just kind of to the boys. It was kind of like and I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, I've gone my whole lifetime without them.
Yeah.
Winning. And 5 years and 9 years, however old they were at the time. I don't remember, but
yeah. I just felt that way about the Rangers. Like when that happened, it was like a relief of like finally.
Yeah, it's kind. I mean,
I do
it's
think our kids were kind of like.
Thing.
I mean, well, Cubs even long. I mean, what was the?
Oh, they were. It was over 100 years.
It was over 100 years. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I do
it was
remember
101. I think
our kids were kind of like, yeah. So they won. Like, what's the big deal? It's like
they're going to win
the
again,
room,
right?
Walk away. Walk away. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, biggest Cubs fan that I know around these parts. So yeah,
around these parts. Here, my readers.
Last question.
Here we go. Last
I'll
appetizer.
take the readers off.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. This is again hypothetical. This is for everybody. But if you're checking on somebody's house for them, say they're on vacation,
Sure, naturally.
What kind of cake do you want them to leave on the counter for you to take?
Because when anyone house sits, they're immediately going,
like, what's the perfect
what kind of cake are you going to have up there?
Yeah, I would just say just keep it simple. Chocolate icing, white, white.
Just a simple
cake,
little cake mix.
White cake.
Kind of.
Yeah, white cake with
do you do
chocolate.
yellow? Do you ever do yellow cake?
Yellow's fine too.
Yeah,
white or yellow's fine.
Preference, white or yellow?
Maybe yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good combo.
Yeah.
Just classic chocolate. I'm glad you said that. Not like fancy. We don't need 25 toppings.
No sprinkles. Just straight.
Get out of here, sprinkles.
It doesn't need to be layered. It just can be in a little dish.
So, Chris, when anyone's house sat for you, is the thought like, well, what kind of cake are we gonna make them and put it on the counter? For them?
Mean, when you have friends that have refrigerator privileges, pantry,
it's true. You bake
kinda,
them a cake.
Yeah, just put it out there and say
you immediately bake them a cake whenever that type of friend comes over.
Just help yourself.
Well, when you go over to check on the dogs and do all that,
sure.
and then
you get a little hungry.
If there's a cake that's sitting on the counter,
it's right there.
You assume that it was left for you.
These
right
people
there.
are out of town. These people are gone.
It's not going to get eaten.
Frankly, your house sitting, so to not eat it would actually probably be a slap in the face,
right?
I think
to the
so.
owners.
Yeah.
Even if it probably even says not for you, they're not there, and so it's going to go bad. You got to eat it,
right?
I think, or at least
like you're not paying me anything.
You're only helping out.
Yeah. Oh, you don't get paid for that?
Yeah,
he's got it ripped off. So many a time.
So
are you a Cubs fan because are you from Chicago?
No, not at all. I'm from North Louisiana, so
this makes sense.
Just grew up on WGN.
Okay. Oh,
yeah,
there it is.
That's
why. Yeah.
Back then, Cubs only played day games before they had lights, and so in elementary school, you come home from school and you'd still watch
only baseball
innings
of
a game, and so it was just it was either them or the Braves. The Braves were on TV all the time too.
Yeah,
and I just never connected well with the Braves.
Yeah, you're right. You just took me back to watching a lot of Cubs because it was the only. It's like WGN all the time. Yeah, is that even around anymore? Is WGN?
WGN is, but I
think Cubs
watch them. They may play, like 8 games a year or something like that.
That's right.
Not enough for America to
not
really
tradition. That's about it.
We've been talking about America a lot. This show is also available to all of you international listeners.
Yes, we'll talk more about cricket.
We are supportive of
rugby.
There's more than 2 sports, maybe soccer or football around the world.
Australian
a little
football.
popular. That's fun.
We got some folks in South Africa.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
We should continue.
Yes. Okay. We're there. Well, that is all the appetizer questions that I have.
That's right.
Those were great questions.
Great question. Yeah. Dynamite hypothetical questions.
Thank you,
co-host Chris. That was
great. I tried to bring the dynamite.
Excellent. So, tell us a little bit about your family. A little bit about you, family. Little biography.
So,
your name is Adam.
Chris. Kind of led off a little earlier, but wife Alita, been married for now 22 plus years now. We've got the 3 boys, older boys, twins. They're freshmen in college.
Wow,
That's
wild.
Yeah, the oldest Bennett, he's at Tarleton. stayed over in Stephenville, and
Yeah.
he's actually currently up in Oklahoma competing in a fishing tournament. He's on the bass team there at Tarleton State, so they're braving the elements of, they just had some weather go through there, so they got a late start this morning for their tournament, but he's competing there. And then Boston is back in Louisiana at Louisiana Tech. He works for the baseball team there.
Okay.
Former alma mater. Might as
My
well
former alma mater. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's where. Yeah, that's the connection that Chris and I have. Is his wife. We were friends in college at Louisiana Tech.
Oh, y'all were friends first.
And so we knew each other there. And then when I moved over here to the DFW area, Jessica was already over here. And so that's how Chris and I got connected and got to be friends. And,
love that.
And do all that. So, and then we have our youngest, Bowen. He's 12. He's in 6th grade. He is just enjoying life with his kind of brothers being gone a lot of the time, and kind of being the focus of our, attention at home. So
versus like scraps. If you're the third kid, you're like, oh, here's a piece of bread for you. Just go entertain yourself.
I would say it was interesting at our house because, we never knew what it was like to have one. We had 2 right away, so it was man to man right away. And then we had Bowen, and so we had to go into a little bit of a zone, or pull in, grandma, grandpa, that kind of thing to, if we had 3 different directions, in any given time. But now he gets all the
he gets it all,
and he's not the kind of kid who demands that or wants that. He's just getting it, and he's eating it up. So.
He's probably loving it. That's awesome. I didn't know you knew Jessica ahead of time.
Yeah, no, we went way back.
Shout out to Jessica. Thanks for listening.
Yeah,
Jessica,
shout out
if you're here listening. Thank you.
And the other piece of it for Alita, my wife, Jessica and Alita worked together way back in the day and set us up on our very first date. That's how we met. And
wow. We had a double date.
Double.
I want to say. Yeah,
so if it wasn't for Jessica, you wouldn't have any friends. You wouldn't be married.
I guess not.
You wouldn't have children.
I don't know. I probably wouldn't have broken my leg playing hockey.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, all these things that happened. Yeah, a whole different life.
Yeah, we had a Dave and Buster's double date.
Yeah, sure did. Watched a little USA versus Russia Olympic hockey that night, which I think pushed us further down the hockey route to go start playing.
That's right.
More. So
did you play games for like tickets on that double date? Dave and Buster's?
I'd say there's some skee ball.
There's some skee ball and some props to Alita. She's really good at the little mini basketball.
Yeah.
And so, try not to be competitive. She was super competitive, and I'm like, whoa, she's playing for real. So
that's awesome.
She's good at that game. So it was fun to kind of see that.
I love that.
Competitiveness come out of her right away.
Yeah. That's a good eye opener. Yeah. 22 years in. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very much so. And so within that 20 years or early starting off, when I knew you starting off, I'm sure when Jessica met you in college, was the Czech Republic anywhere near here?
The Czech Republic.
Your thoughts at all?
I mean, outside of, like Martina Navratilova and
Ivan
Lendl and the tennis players that were I guess that was probably more old Czechoslovakia. Didn't really know much about that part of the world, or didn't really have any desire to know that much about that part of the world. So
the reason why I ask that again, should we just address America?
Yeah, not the world.
The reason why I ask is because around these parts, Adam's kind of known as the Czech guy, the guy who has led a lot of mission trips or trips on over to the Czech Republic, and maybe started with one trip and then has turned into, you're leading these things. It's been leading for quite a while. So
it started just kind of randomly, I guess. One of I say that now, our buddy Ota, and he was in Texas he was actually part of a men's retreat. He and Ross were friends back in the day, part of Athletes in Action. He was visiting here and was at a men's retreat. And somehow I got kind of connected with him, and we talked for, hours about baseball. he loves baseball.
Yeah.
And which it's a little bit more of an unusual. It's not a common sport over, it'd probably be about, 10th or 12th.
Okay.
Maybe a little higher now. It's starting to grow.
Yeah.
In that country. But it was at the time it was fairly low.
Mhm.
And so we talked for a lot. I'm like, you kind of fell in love with this guy,
Yeah.
just who he is and what he was trying to do over there with Young Life.
Yeah.
And really trying to grow Young Life over there in a little town kind of in the eastern part of the country. And that wanted to go that next summer. I think that was maybe the first time we had ever even as a church even considered going over there, gone over there, and couldn't go. I can't remember why I couldn't go that year. So it was almost like, okay, I'm already slated to go. I want to go the next year.
Yeah.
So ended up going that next year.
Why did you even want to go?
It started off just meeting Ota.
Yeah.
Just meeting Ota and just getting to know him and hearing about his passion and his ministry and all that with Young Life over there. It just felt like something with students and things like that that, could really, kind of have a lot of fun with and really, kind of get in there and have an impact.
Because up until that time, you never thought about that before. So then you meet this guy, and is it just like, I gotta go see this?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he just oozed. I don't even know. I can't even really describe what it was, but he's kind of one of those guys where he's a guy's guy.
Yeah.
And just the nicest.
Yeah.
Just the nicest person.
Yeah, awesome.
In the world,
That's
and
awesome.
You could just tell how much he loved doing what he did. And it was just kind of that feeling like I want to go support this guy, doing what he's doing over there.
Yeah.
Just sending small little teams over there to help them run their Young Life camps and teach them, teach English and help them do their workshops and, all those things.
Yeah.
And
it's contagious, I think, when we meet someone like that. Because, most people, not to be like negative, but like typically you got complainers or just like, what's going on in your life? I don't know.
Yeah.
But like when you come across someone they're genuinely, not faking it, genuinely excited about what they're doing, and they kind of have like a grand vision. I feel like there's something
Like they
contagious.
don't have the midweek Wednesday.
There's not a hump day lull. There's just this, man, this is what's going on. And this is happening. And I can't believe this is taking place. And they don't have to be on cloud 9 every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But it's like that there's like a contagious contagiousness that comes from something like that. Because that gets me excited. And I want to learn more about what it is. Yeah. When it's
very authentic and very genuine.
Yeah. We can tell when it's fake. And it's like, okay, whatever. But there's something compelling about that.
Well, the very first camp that we were there, I think we were playing. It was before any of the campers had gotten there. They were, bringing them in.
Yeah.
This is when it was out in the country.
Yeah.
And they would bus the students in for overnight camp. And we were just having a game of kickball with all of the Young Life staff and all of the American team that was there. And Ota stepped in a little hole rut kind of thing in one of the fields and twisted his ankle pretty good. And you never saw any kind of complaint. And of course you can't get ice over there. We're in the country. Yeah. It's hard to get ice in, Central Europe anyway.
Yeah.
But then much less when you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
At a camp, he had to just go stick it in the little stream that was, down the way that was cold.
Oh.
And I just had the best response to that a leader could have.
Yeah.
And so
I love that. Yeah.
It just made you really want to invest in what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
And so that must have been really helpful in you going back again.
Oh, yeah. Continuing to want to go back. After you go once, and it was interesting after the first year, like I said, it was out in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Ota had this vision to bring camp to the city. So you could potentially reach more kids. And it would be more of a day camp during the week as opposed to an overnight camp.
Yeah.
And so we made that adjustment to go into the city, which was great for us because we wanted to go to where they lived.
Yeah.
And see it. We were out in the middle of nowhere before that. So kind of seeing where they lived and what they did every day in their lives and that kind of thing. And so it ended up evolving to more of a city camp at that point. We were still doing a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
Teaching English and helping them run sports workshops and other little crafts and, arts and crafts and games and different things like that.
Did that help it grow, like moving to the city? Because you were able to reach.
It did. I would say over the course of about 8 years, 7 or 8 years, it went from about 50 kids that first week or that first year at camp. And by the time right before COVID, we were up to about 100 kids.
Yeah. Wow.
So it doubled.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about, Grapevine, Texas type of a place. This is in the middle of, the old communist block.
Yeah.
Mean, at the time, only 20 something years out of, being under communism.
Yeah. So it's clearly making a strong enough impact for those kids to show up.
Yeah.
To step out and do something like
for
that.
Sure.
Yeah. Wow.
And I mean, I know you had a little bit of experience with student ministry and with going on, other mission trips before too. I want to say Costa Rica was one back in the day that you went on, and so there was a little bit of preparation. But since you didn't grow up saying I'm gonna be a missionary, I'm gonna go and do these things, what do you learn about yourself over that time that maybe surprised you a little bit once you start leading these things and going on repeat?
You learn that for something like this trip specific, because I mean, all trips, these short-term kind of mission trips are a little bit different. This one was unique in the fact that we did a ton of preparation prior. I mean, we were 5-6 months out. We were starting to prepare. Team was pretty much to decide who was going, and roles were being assigned, and but the background that you were doing from just learning about the history and the culture and those types of things was pretty critical. But I think probably what you learn most about yourself is that skills that you wouldn't think that you have. Like I wouldn't consider myself even a teacher. As that being a strength of mine. But you're going there, you're teaching English. To kids who that English is not their first language. And so you end up finding out that you have if I guess the first year was that was the year that was a little not awkward, but you're just kind of figuring it out. What do you
well, it's the first time ever, right?
Kids?
You've never been there before. You have no idea what you're doing.
And you try all this stuff. Some stuff works great. Some stuff flops. But you see what kind of things gets the interest of the kids and what they enjoy doing and the types of games and the types of things. And so you learn a little bit about that. And so I would say probably the most, kind of getting back to your question about, learning about yourself is that, I can go, 16, 18-hour days where you're going from, because the sun comes up at that time of year there at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
And it doesn't go down until 10 or so at night.
Wow.
So you have long days. You're up a little bit higher in the, whatever it is for the solstice or whatever that is, and so you've got a lot of sun.
Wow.
And you're going during most of that time. And you realize that you get an energy, there's an energy that you get that you're just not going to get. Just when you're at home doing your day-to-day kind of thing. You're, when people would come to these interest meetings, potentially want to go, and they'd be like, I don't know if I can do this, or I don't think I'm called to do this, or I don't think this is something, a strength of mine. And I was like, well, it wasn't mine either. But you go with the mindset of that, you just want to pour into kids. And you just want to show them how to have fun, because the idea is you want them to keep wanting to come back to camp. You kind of have to set the tone with people like this is, and I would say this every year. After the first year I went, I'd be like, this will be, or at least as a trip leader,
Yeah.
I would say this is going to be the toughest, the hardest, the most exhausting fun that you have ever had.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
And you will hit your pillow at the end of the night, and you will fall to sleep faster than you ever fall asleep.
Yeah.
And you'll wake up, and the sun will be coming right through that window.
Yeah.
And you will pop up, and you will be ready for coffee and breakfast.
Yep.
And you'll be ready to take on kids again.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And I mean, if you get less than 35,000 steps on your, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah, you're being lazy. Lazy.
Yeah, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's definitely one of those. But you learn, you find an energy that.
Yeah. I bet, especially with all that sun. So before you went the very first time, have you ever been on any other trips like this before?
Just like little short-term things, like maybe like Mexico, Central America, that kind of thing. But these were more of just like door knocking, type, or maybe there was more of a specific designated. We're going to go, support a family while we're there. I'll help them with maybe repairs to their home, or some things like that.
Sure.
A little bit more of something where you didn't have to do a lot of preparation.
Yeah,
you just you knew what the goal was when you got there, and you got there and you did your thing.
So how many times have you been by now?
Let's see. I think it's 8 or 9 times.
Okay, so here's my question.
Yeah,
I always think about this. So you've been on some other trips.
Mm-hmm.
You meet this Ota guy. he kind of gives you a perspective of what's going on over there, and then you go and you're like, I gotta go, and then you go, and then you're like, okay, we gotta do this again, right? And then we gotta do this again, and you've gone this many times,
almost a decade later.
And you weren't planning on that, right? You didn't wake up and go, I'm gonna go to the Czech, for almost a decade or something like that. There's probably someone out there right now you've been thinking through there where you were before you went the very first time, and it's like, now you can look back with a little bit of hindsight. It's like, what you just went just because you're just excited about what's going on, and then why do you keep going back? Like, what's the drive behind that?
It's interesting. The first year you go, and like I said, we had a fantastic time. In terms of just connecting with the kids, and that's our goal. Our goal is just to connect with the students that are there.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as like directly ministering to them, it's probably a lot more indirect. Ministering. We're probably ministering more to the staff, to the work crew, and things like that.
Which is a huge impact
that are there. And anything to the students themselves is a little more indirect, just because of their culture and kind of the way things are there. We save that, or allow the staff that's there to do more of that. But I would say the thing that keeps you coming back is, and then maybe that's after the second year you go, is when you go back the second year and you see return campers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third year you see the same campers. And then by the fourth year they've moved out of the junior high age, and they're a little more high school, but they want to be back there. So they're in work crew that year.
Oh, wow.
And then they're in work crew the next year.
Yeah.
And they may still not have put any kind of trust or faith in Jesus at this time.
But they're there.
But they're staying connected with it.
And they're seeing you consistently.
Yes.
You're seeing them. That's a big deal.
They're seeing consistent, and while the team around the leader may change a little bit, it's, there would be some consistency there too. I mean, we're primarily it's a student trip. So you get in high school, you get some kids that start going maybe as a freshman or a sophomore, and they want to go the next couple of years. So they've gone 2 or 3 times by the time they graduate. And so some of that continuity is really really good. But just to see them coming back, and then there was one. This was probably, I don't know, maybe the 4th or 5th time I was there, when we had finished camp. Friday evening, we had packed everything up, gotten it back to the club room, and everything was done. There was there were several baptisms.
Oh, nice.
And they were for some of the staff, or when I say staff, it's just more the volunteer staff.
Yeah.
That had been a part of Young Life for a while, but had made the decision to follow Jesus
Wow.
and to actually get baptized.
Yeah.
And that's such a big deal there. It really is. It's just not, the culture there is just, it's very atheistic.
Yeah.
There as it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a high percentage. I mean, it's the highest in Europe, or at least it traditionally it has been. Just as a student, making a decision like that can create a lot of problems.
Sure.
With family and
Mm-hmm.
things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So making a decision to be baptized.
Yeah.
I imagine that's one of the better memories.
That's one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that year, Pastor Ross actually happened to be there, and he did some of the baptisms.
Yeah.
There.
Super cool.
So
Yeah.
it was, water's probably, like 60 degrees.
Oh, sure.
And it's raining.
Yeah.
And all
But
that.
no one cares.
But no, but yeah,
No,
it
you're
was
not
just
gonna
like,
care.
whatever.
Yeah.
Enough to stick your sprained ankle in that water.
Exactly.
And get it healed up.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
We take things like, I guess in America, since we're on the America route.
Hello,
Thanks, Chris.
America. Thank you.
No, but we take baptism for granted, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like I'm not everyone, but it's all around the world. I mean, just all around the world. The majority of the world making that public profession is a massive deal. Like getting baptized is a massive deal. That it is just as massive as a deal here. But I think sometimes it's tempting just to be like, oh yeah, they get baptized. That's
Right.
great. I mean, it's a different. It can be life or death difference in a lot of areas around the world.
You potentially, families will, they'll turn their back
disown
on you
you.
for that type of decision.
Yeah.
And really, kids that are even younger, the junior, kind of junior high age type kids, there's not a huge push for them to make decisions, like that early on.
Sure.
Because the goal is they want them to keep participating in camps and clubs and, those types of things, keep them coming back and just pastor and minister to them over the course of several years.
Yeah.
And then as they get a little bit older, it's not necessarily more accepting, but parents are a little bit more, they're kind of like, oh, okay, you're old enough now where we don't agree with your decision, but it's your decision.
Right.
And, we're not gonna, tell you what you can and can't do.
Yeah. Oh man, that's great.
And so knowing that this was not on your radar for a long amount of time, but when it did happen and once you dove into it and a decade later, what would you share to parents or parents of students themselves, as far if they're kind of on the fence or thinking along those lines of, hey, I don't know if this is for me because I haven't had a particular leaning toward a country, or I haven't met somebody like an Ota yet, but I know that I definitely want to get involved somehow, some way. What would your advice be to them?
My advice would be that this type of a trip is a perfect way to get your feet wet in terms of getting into any kind of a, overseas or, any kind of mission work or anything like that in another country. It's not, from a safety standpoint, it's very safe.
Sure.
And that's a lot of parents.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's their concerns is,
of course,
is safety, because some parents will go, and their kids will go. Some parents are just kind of like trusting you. And so safety is obviously a big concern. So that's great for that. And they're leading students. There. So it's things that, if you have a younger brother or sister, I mean, it's not like you're having to do something that's really, really uncomfortable. But it's just a great way to really serve, without, having to have a really, really special skill set or anything like that. And I think that's what's attractive about it.
Sure.
I mean, we've had teams as big as, I think the biggest team, I think it was maybe 26 one year. That was probably we probably had 7 or 8 adults and the rest were students. So you have, kind of I don't know what 4 to 5 to 1,
Yeah,
ratio
that's a big
there.
team. Yeah.
But those were the years, we're getting 80, 90 to 100 kids there.
Yeah.
And you did have some specific roles when you were doing that. When it's been smaller, you're a lot of double duty on on things. But I would say it's an easy trip. I mean, it's a little bit of a challenge from the travel perspective, but it's a great place. It's a beautiful country, to go to.
Yeah.
Whether you're out in the country or you're in the city, or and we usually would spend a day or two in Prague.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty easy city to get around, and it's a beautiful city. But it's not complicated.
Mm-hmm.
For this.
Yeah.
I mean, the things we're asking them to do on the front end, preparing,
Mm-hmm.
learning some history,
Mm-hmm.
kind of understanding that. And then, I mean, we're sitting down with students and they're developing lesson plans,
Yeah.
for their classrooms.
Yeah. It's awesome.
That they do. And it's just, I think when they first hear like, oh, listen, I'm not a teacher, but we have a very good, template, I guess, that we can reproduce.
Yeah.
Year we just change themes and we change ideas, and we brainstorm and come up with new things each year. But we have a good template that we in place to be able to reproduce it to where it's not difficult for students or someone that's not a teacher or anything like that to be able to do.
So if you went back in time to tell Adam before his first trip, and let's say your previous self was doubting if it's worth it, and he's maybe not going to go on the trip, like what would you have told yourself by now?
If I was doubting,
thinking it's not worth it, you're like, I don't know if it's worth it.
It's too much time. It's a week off of work,
whatever
kind of a
it is.
thing.
Yeah.
But knowing what I know now, it's I don't know what I would tell myself.
The Cubs are going to win.
Yeah, stick it out to 2016, and the Cubs will pull it off. If I'm looking back and if my earlier self was having any doubts, the advice that I would give myself is just that it's you can't mess it up. You can't go over there and do it wrong.
Yeah.
As long as your goal is to go over there and support kids and having a fun time, and keeping them engaged and all that, you can't mess it up. And,
it's good.
And the long travel, the expense, that kind of thing. I mean, that's always another thing too.
Sure.
The expense, piece of it. It's not. They're not given. Given those flights away and things like that. So it's that's always sometimes a little bit of a
What's been the most creative way to fundraise for that you can recall?
That's a great one. I'm surprised this question's just not coming up.
What did you name that event too?
That was the very first year that I decided to go. We had our life group, our Jack group, that's what we called it. And once I'd kind of told the group that this is, I was feeling led to go there this year, and the life group wanted to support that. And in the fundraising and things like that. And
I like where this is going.
We decided to do a wiffle ball tournament, and it was called Czech Swing Classic. So the little baseball connection.
Like
And it ended up being the greatest thing.
Really?
I still have T-shirts. I mean, we had T-shirts and prizes and
what a great idea.
Sponsors.
That's a great idea.
And it worked out really, really well.
Love that.
And it was a lot of fun. And it was just, I don't know, the Czech swing was just kind of a creative way to
that's perfect.
To connect that. Never were able to quite replicate it to that very first year.
There was a lot of excitement about a wiffle ball tournament that first year.
And I think it was good. I mean, we were planning and organizing that. When you tried to get the students to do it, for students, it's a great idea, but then, it's kind of like, well,
They
we're
got
not going to plan this for you, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's a little harder to get off the ground.
That's a good idea. I like that.
So what's next?
Well, for me,
8 more trips.
Yeah.
like what's
Do we do 8 more trips, or is it a
no.
different type of trip or same trip? What's going on?
I would say, the partnership that we have with
Mhm.
Young Life over in
Mhm.
that part of the world, definitely want to continue that. I think there's, this year we're not doing the same type of trip to Ostrava for camp, but we're doing something a little different in terms of kind of some vision planning and things like that, just to kind of see, okay, what other Young Life chapters, I guess, or throughout Central Europe, could we potentially have an impact on? So, and that's, you got Central Europe's a pretty big, pretty big area there. So I mean, you've got Czech and Slovakia and Poland, and then you got all the old Balkan countries, that are Macedonia and Albania and Bosnia. And,
So keep it going, basically.
Yeah. No, I think for me it certainly is, and I think for for 121 that that's kind of the driver behind why we're there in that relationship, and
it's awesome.
That's the vision and the goal as well. So I think that's this summer will be a little bit of that, kind of trying to figure out, okay, can we do this? Is there other areas where we can have an impact on? And hopefully the answer's, yes. Just for me personally, I just want to stay connected to that part of the world. Because we have, even if it's, whether it's Czech or Slovakia or whatever, I mean, we've there's a lot of friendships and a lot of relationships that have developed over the last, 13 years or so.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I love that.
Well, thanks for going, and then just making it possible for teams to continue going just by your leadership and for stepping in there and doing it.
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed, even getting other people kind of ready to lead trips and things like that. So that's been rewarding as well.
It's awesome.
You can do it for a little while, and then it's like, okay, I've got kids graduating this summer. And this is not going to happen this summer.
Sure.
And having somebody that's you can kind of get ready to lead a trip. So
it's good he's enjoying that. Do you think he's going to enjoy the lightning round?
I think he's going.
I think we're moving on to the lightning round here.
The readers
are on. We're going to alternate lightning. So here's the lightning round rules. It's very official rules here at QT. Thank you for taking this seriously. You can't overthink, so you got to rapid fire. You got to answer right away.
Like lightning.
Right, yeah. This is why it's lightning. It's the lightning round. So
are we
alternating, or we're going to go?
We're going
to go fast.
You want me to
alternate? You go first.
Okay.
Here we go. Pay attention. Here comes the lightning round question.
All right. Sosa spelled backwards is
ASOS.
Oh, very good. If you have headache, fever, and a chill, what should you wrap around your head?
I'm going to go with a hot towel.
Bam.
Buttons down. Sorry. Buttons down.
He's having a hard day.
Button downs or t-shirts?
I usually go with t-shirts.
Okay, he thought about that. 3 ways for a hobbit to prepare potatoes.
Let's see. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
There you go. Very good.
Favorite place to eat after a midnight hockey game?
IHOP. Yeah.
Okay, favorite Band of Brothers character? Lieutenant Dan.
No, what's his name?
You're thinking of Spears, aren't you?
Spears, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, hit it. Last one. Here we go. Drum roll.
Name 3 Louisiana Tech legends.
Oh, gosh. Terry Bradshaw, Karl Malone, and Kim Mulkey.
There we go. There we go, ladies and
off
gentlemen.
Hot seat of the lightning round
is over.
That was fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adam McBride.
Adam McBride, everyone. I was clapping. You weren't clapping.
I'm clapping. I had to take my readers off.
I don't have the applause. Man, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
thanks for sharing your heart behind. I mean, what is it? Is it 13 years when you kind of spaced it out? Is that how long
13
it's been?
years, yeah. 2012 was the first year that.
Thank you for that. I mean, I know you went and you were excited and you met Ota, but your obedience to say yes to and have those long days and have a decade's worth of involvement like that, that's going to have dividends. That's going to have an impact for a long time that will go beyond you. You may not even see all the fruit of that.
Yeah, and that's just how it is. And one thing I didn't even talk about at all is this went from an Adam thing, just Adam's going on a trip, to it took, I guess it was the third year, the third year before I could get Alita on board to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then once Alita and I had been a few times, then our older boys were like, we want to go, and just kind of waiting for them to be at a good age to understand what they're doing and that kind of thing, and then them being a part of it, and then Bowen even being a part of it as well. So it's more of a family kind of a thing, and we've seen leaders transition there,
it's
and
awesome.
we've been there with that, and we love our friends and family that are there. And I'll shout out to Marek. He's the country director for Czech now, and Carlo, who's the city director, the area director, I guess, for Ostrava there. But they've been a big part of why we continue to,
that's great,
to continue to do what we do. So
love it. Thanks for sharing that, Chris. Final thoughts.
I thought you were going to say Phil Robertson.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about Phil.
But Mulkey,
we might have to take this debate
Baylor.
offline. You
Former
guys are
Baylor
gonna-
coach.
oh, there we go. You worked in Baylor too. Colorado. Baylor.
Thanks so much for joining us. Please consider rating and reviewing our podcast and hitting subscribe on whichever platform you prefer. Remember to keep moving forward because we're not quite there.